Welcome to This Explainer. Today, I want you to treat this session like a one-on-one consultation with your own personal financial advisor. We're going to navigate the sheer complexities of the 2026 housing market together. You know, whether you're feeling totally locked out right now, or maybe you're sitting on a pile of cash just waiting for that absolute perfect moment to strike. Well, the landscape this year has fundamentally shifted. So we're going to look at the hard data, completely strip away all that emotional noise, and build a strategic playbook for your very next move.
So let's dive right in. The big question is your portfolio truly prepared for what the economy is throwing at prospective homebuyers this year? Listen, the market isn't what it was 3 years ago. It's not even what it was last year. It requires a completely different mindset now. You really need to understand who actually holds the power, where the hidden advantages are hiding, and exactly how these broader economic headwinds are calculating your specific borrowing limit right now.
Okay, 49%. This number really puts the uphill battle into perspective for new buyers. Right now, nearly half of all outstanding mortgage debt is held by people aged 45 to 64. That's prime earning years, right? And what's even more wild is that adults currently under 35 are literally less than half as likely to own a home at this same age compared to previous generations. The market is just heavily skewed toward older established demographics. So if you're a young professional trying to break in, you're essentially playing on a board where the wealth is already heavily concentrated.
Moving on to our first main area, the 2026 market reality and navigating this slow recovery we're in. Before making any major financial decisions, we absolutely have to understand the macroeconomic headwinds that are hitting your wallet this year.
Thinking about the baseline forecast for our slow recovery, the numbers are pretty striking. We're looking at just 0.7% real GDP growth and a tiny 0.3% bump in employment for 2026. Toss in a 5-year fixed mortgage rate that's expected to normalize around 5.1%, and well, as your advisor, I look at these numbers and I see a very tight lid on your borrowing capacity. This just isn't an environment of rapid income growth or cheap money flowing everywhere. Lenders are looking at this sluggish economy and they're playing it incredibly safe. And that means you have to be highly strategic with the capital you do have.
And here's the hidden pressure cooker of the 2026 market. We're facing a massive, impending wave of mortgage renewals. People who locked in those rock-bottom pandemic-era rates, well, they're renewing into a 5% environment now. It's causing incredibly cautious consumer behavior across the board. Homeowners are seriously tightening their belts, and a lot of potential buyers are just opting to stay on the sidelines. But as we'll see in a minute, their caution might actually be your golden opportunity.
That brings us perfectly to our next section, your renter's time advantage, or what I like to call the rental buffer. Let's look at how this creates a really unexpected strategic advantage if you happen to be renting right now.
We're actually witnessing a very unique and honestly probably brief window right now. On the long-term horizon, we have major supply risks. Housing starts are down, projects are getting canceled left and right, and builders are dealing with major capacity constraints. But think about the short-term situation. We've got this massive wave of recently completed rental units, stuff that was started years ago, finally hitting the market today. And that's created a short-term rental surplus. Vacancies are actually up, and rent growth has completely stalled out.
So, what does this actually mean for you? Well, because the gap between the cost of owning and renting has temporarily shrunk, this softening rental market gives you a crucial buffer. The old narrative that renting is just throwing money away, for 2026, that's a fundamentally flawed way to look at it. You are no longer in a frantic race against skyrocketing rent. You have the breathing room to hold on to your capital, maybe stay in your current lease, and safely build up that down payment over the next 12 to 18 months, all without the panic of being priced out of your current setup.
Next up, let's talk about navigating the condo surge and spotting those market inefficiencies. If you're looking to buy, especially in major urban centers like Toronto or Vancouver, there's a specific inefficiency you really need to exploit right now. With condo starts falling and developers sweating over a backlog of unsold units, first-time buyers have unprecedented negotiating power. You can leverage the high resale inventory to snag existing units well below their historical peak prices. But listen, you've got to be diligent. You have to aggressively account for rising condo fees in your budget, and you need to be super cautious about the pre-construction market. Pre-con sales are at multi-decade lows right now, meaning there's a huge risk of delayed or outright canceled projects. Honestly, your safest play is exploiting a developer's urgency to offload brand new, already completed units.
Which leads us to the million-dollar question: buy now or wait? Let's weigh the opportunity cost. This puts your two primary paths for 2026 into stark contrast. As your advisor, here's how I weigh it. On one hand, you can wait. Use that rental buffer we just talked about, grow your assets safely, dodge the current economic uncertainty, and just hope your borrowing capacity improves as incomes slowly catch up. On the other hand, buying now lets you capitalize on currently muted prices. Competition right now is virtually non-existent compared to the wild bidding wars of previous years, and inventory, especially for condos, is high. You're basically getting in before the projected market rebound.
And speaking of that rebound, here's why it's such a crucial factor. National home sales dipped to around 470,000 units in 2025, but just think about the projection here. They're expected to steadily rise through 2026 to 489,000 and push near 500,000 by 2027 as the broader economy starts getting its legs back. There is a massive amount of suppressed, pent-up demand just sitting on the sidelines right now. Buying today means you are securing your asset before that massive wave of buyers gets their confidence back and rushes the market, driving prices right back up.
All right, moving into Section 5, your affordability action plan and overall financial preparedness.
Understanding the macro market is great, but figuring out your true affordability is what actually gets the keys in your hand. Before you even open a real estate app, you need to execute these 4 steps. First, evaluate your secure income. Lenders are hawkish right now. They're looking closely at job stability and a 0.3% employment growth economy. Second, stockpile at least a 10% down payment strictly from your own funds. Third, and I can't stress this enough, this is where people completely mess up, you absolutely must calculate property taxes and household insurance before signing anything. And finally, if you're targeting that high inventory condo market, you have to factor in those ongoing condo fees, because let's face it, they only ever go up.
This brings us to the silent killer of homeownership dreams: carrying costs. These are all the expenses beyond your basic mortgage payment. These hidden carrying costs are the exact things keeping current buyers locked out of the market and forcing others to sell. If you're building your budget solely on a monthly mortgage payment at a 5.1% rate, you are setting yourself up for serious financial stress. Your budget must have absolute, undeniable breathing room for carrying costs, period.
I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on for your own strategy. You know the risks now, you see the macroeconomic headwinds coming, and you know exactly where the market inefficiencies are hiding. So what's it going to be? Are you going to safely build your capital using the current rental buffer, or are you going to exploit the high inventory and muted prices right now, beating that 2027 rebound? The choice is entirely yours, but with this playbook in hand, you're ready to make the most calculated, informed move possible in this shifting landscape.